Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. Wanted to start this video by giving a shout out to Sean Schaefer at Sean Schaef 10. And this was from that lightning torch, the XRP torch discussion we had. And I had said somebody ought to start that XRP torch. And so Sean Schaefer, I believe, is the originator of the XRP torch. He says, here's the beginning of the XRP torch, XRP community. Let's show the cryptosphere how it's really done. When you receive the torch, add 1.0045 zeros and then a 1 XRP, and make sure to include XRP torch. I hand the torch to James Malpass, and he's got it right here. So boom, there it goes. Let's see what happens. And this is from Rusty XRP at Rusty_XRP, and the drag continues, and he's tweeting out the SEC news that the SEC staff is going to hold a fintech forum to discuss distributed ledger technology and digital assets. This is typical government, just talk. Action is the last thing anyone wants to do. But this led to this was a reply from Crypto Chris to that news from the SEC. SEC chases billions out of U.S. economy by dragging feet on Bitcoin ETF. And he, let's see, the article, I'm not going to show you the article, but I'll show you, I wanted to read to you a little bit about what it said. It says, Fox Business has an exclusive interview with U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Jay Clayton, in which the SEC chair defended his position on cryptocurrency. Clayton says he is not against digital currencies, but has concerns over the potential for manipulation and wants to ensure investors are protected. The SEC chair also says, what I'm concerned about at the moment is if it can be reasonably demonstrated that the underlying trading is generally not manipulated. It's happening on reliable venues with good rules, and that custody is something we can feel comfortable about. Well, my question for the SEC then is, are they concerned about JP Morgan manipulating the silver market? Because that is something that's been proven and is factual. And JP Morgan's still allowed to trade in silver. The silver market is still trading. Are you concerned about the silver market? Maybe we should shut that market down. Manipulation is going to go on in all markets. It's the SEC's job is to enforce action against. My understanding is their job is to enforce action against anyone who's breaking the rules. So if you catch someone doing manipulation, then put them in jail or whatever it is you do, or fine them, whatever. But just like you're never going to put JP Morgan or Jamie Dimon in jail, so these guys will just get fined, and they have a long history of fines. So, but this is the silver market is an ongoing market that is proven to be manipulated, and yet Bitcoin, oh, that's just way too scary. All right, moving along, and I had one other question: is whether the SEC was on top of this kind of manipulation. They not only did they miss the Bernie Madoff scandal, not only did they miss what this guy was doing, they were told to go look at this guy and still didn't do it. I mean, so it's like, what? Okay, this is from Barry Silbert. Animal spirits seem to be returning to the crypto market, and the market is it's having a pretty good day today, and I'll get into that in a second. But first, I wanted to make a point about it. I think that the reason the market is going up today may be tied to this piece of news, and I'll show you why I think that. CBOE is giving up. Bitcoin never gives up. And this is an article from CoinDesk. We talked about this announcement, I think, earlier today. I think I did. CBO Exchange puts brakes on Bitcoin futures listing. CBO said it would not add new Bitcoin futures market for March, citing need to review how it approaches the space. Well, I wanted to show you something, those of you that don't know. It's a big day for when did Bitcoin futures start? I looked this up. It's a big day for Bitcoin. The CBOE began trading the first Bitcoin futures on December 10th. December 10th, okay? And that first contract expires Wednesday. So December 10th of 2017 is when the first Bitcoin futures were launched. Well, I want to show some of you that may not know what happened to the market. This December 10th is right in here. Look what the peak of the Bitcoin price was in December. On December 14th, 4 days after Bitcoin futures began, the market peaked and from there went down to where it is now. That, folks, is pretty telling. Well, this is the market that we're in today. And you'll notice I'm using live coin watch because CoinMarketCap does not want to listen to their customers. And I'll continue to do that until they change their tune. Live coin watch, you'll see here that we've got 138 billion in the market now. It's gone up quite a bit over the last few days. And you're seeing a lot of green. This 24-hour green is what I'm looking at. Look at Cardano up 5.22%. Nice. So the market is doing quite well, and I don't think it's a coincidence that happened in conjunction with that futures announcement today. I really don't. Okay, this is from at XRP Boy, and he put this up. And this is a video. XRP Future at XRPHQ had put this up. A Ripple interview with Joel Katz at SXSW Conference 2019. It's a quick 1 minute or 2 minute. And Joel Katz talks about the XRP price and how what any kind of things that we've seen in the past that have caused digital asset prices and XRP to move. And basically in this video, he says the only thing that we've seen that really has any kind of tie to the movement of these digital assets is when they're listed on exchanges. In the past, if you got listed on Coinbase, your digital asset would explode. That's not so much anymore. But he said that there really is no correlation. It always happens out of nowhere, more or less. That's true. Next, this is from James Malpass at James Malpass 12. This is Brock Pierce, and this is the article. Brock Pierce, it says, the former child actor, American entrepreneur, and early adopter of Bitcoin recently did an interview with Forbes. And here's what he says in this interview. And you need to listen to this really carefully because what he's about to talk about, all of this stuff is going to be traded side by side with XRP and the digital assets that were born of the technology itself. He says security tokens are going to give birth to a $quadrillion market. This is because we will see the tokenization of the world's fiat money, debt market, real estate, equities, and art. And like I talked about yesterday, classic cars would be another category of things that will be tokenized. There will be things tokenized that we can't even dream of at this point. But this is exciting because remember, at some point, all of these markets are going to be completely liquid, and they're going to work across. They're going to be decentralized for one thing. Now, when that happens, you're going to have trading pairs of XRP and maybe you can have a trading pair of XRP and a security token that tokenizes fine art works by Van Gogh or whatever. You can think about a trading pair with a Van Gogh security token, so that for people that want to own a percentage of some certain Vincent Van Gogh paintings. And imagine that being a trading pair with XRP on a decentralized digital asset exchange. That is the world we're entering. And when XRP is traded with it, that means that $quadrillion market he's talking about, XRP is sloshing around in that market. Whereas today, it's sloshing around in a $138 billion market. That's what we're talking about, folks. This genie's not going back in the bottle. Okay, next, I wanted to show you this, okay? This is this guy is Charles Hoskinson, and you can go and subscribe to his channel, Charles Hoskinson, okay? And he is the founder of Cardano. He was also one of the guys that, I guess you would call him one of the founders of Ethereum. He left Ethereum to go start Cardano to improve upon Ethereum. Well, I'm an owner in Cardano, and I continue to buy Cardano because I think that Cardano is I think he calls it, whereas Ethereum would be like a second generation crypto, he calls Cardano a third generation that fixes a lot of the problems that Ethereum has, like scalability problems. Well, here's my only problem with Cardano, and I'm telling you this after watching several videos with Charles Hoskinson. The guy is a genius, and I think that he's a genius to a detriment in one way. He is a very smart guy. Just think if you walked onto the campus of like an MIT and you were standing there with a bunch of professors, you and I may not be able to even understand what they're talking about. That's the vibe I get every time I listen to Charles Hoskinson talk. I pick up bits and pieces where I understand what he's talking about. I don't know all the technical jargon. That's not my bag, okay? But my point in telling you this is I listened to this entire thing, and every question that he answers, and he's asked a lot of questions in this thread, every question that he answers, he only answers questions on the technicality, the technical aspects of Cardano. And I'm here to tell you, Charles Hoskinson needs a pitch man. He needs someone who can not just tell the story of what Cardano is technologically. He needs someone that's telling the story of why Cardano is going to be huge. That's what Charles Hoskinson needs. And because I can't tell you how many of these I've watched. Now, listen, I'm huge. I believe in Cardano. I think it's going to be huge. But I believe that he needs the proper pitch man. And they need to start making videos where they talk about Cardano in layman's terms, where they're talking to their potential investors, not to sell them necessarily on buying ADA. That's not what I'm saying, but to explain to them in layman's terms how it's going to change the world. And that's the problem that I see here, because every time I get excited about listening to Charles Hoskinson, I think he's a genius. The problem is there are different forms of genius, and he needs to find a genius who's good at selling the dream. That's what he needs. It's selling the dream of what is coming with Cardano. I understand it. I understand what Cardano is, but there's a lot of things that could be told. Here's why Cardano is better than Ethereum. This, and this. This is why it's going to overtake Ethereum and make people understand that. This is, for me, this is more of a plea than anything. I'm dying to turn on a video and listen to somebody say, tell me, why is Cardano going to beat out all these others? What is it about Cardano? I want a list. I've looked, people. I want to present you this list. I want a list of or a chart that shows me what's better about Cardano than Ethereum. I know some of the things, but I want a very thorough list. With Cardano, I find myself, even going to their website, I find myself feeling like I'm on a college campus with a bunch of PhDs that are speaking Greek. I think that they have something huge in the works, but I personally don't feel like they're communicating it correctly to the average man on the street who wants to be in on Cardano. And so this is more or less of a plea, maybe to Charles Hoskinson. Maybe I'm talking to him. That's what I believe is needed with Cardano. Anyway, moving along. Finally, I want to finish with a great quote from XRP veteran. Give him a follow. Without commitment, we will never start. Without discipline and consistency, we will never finish. Denzel Washington. That's a great quote to go into your weekend. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family to tell Charles Hoskinson we need to hear something that the just average person can understand and totally comprehend about what the vision is, what companies are going to work with Cardano, who are they working with now, who is thinking about adopting Cardano. I don't know, because the question's never answered. All I'm ever hearing about is the technicalities of what's planned and what their roadmap is, which is all technical PhD jargon. That's not what's going to get the masses on board with Cardano. That's what's needed. That's just my 2 cents. But I'll say again, I'm a huge fan of Charles Hoskinson. He's a genius. I think the guy is a lot smarter than I could ever hope to be. But most of the world is not as smart as Charles Hoskinson, and for that reason, he needs someone who can take it to the people. Thank you for listening.